Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Get the Charge podcast live stream for week 6. Can't wait to get into some of these questions. Really excited about this matchup. Joining me, as always, are my guys Tyler and Alex. Tyler, we'll start with you today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, although if Chargers fans could lay off the follow trains on Twitter, that would be great.
It's all good fun. We're getting some new fans on the bandwagon. It's going to be a great one to see how that kind of progresses. It's also funny because it was like initially in the week, everybody was complaining about having bandwagon fans, and then everyone was like, everybody follow me. Follow trains. It's like, okay, are we mad about the bandwagons or we want them to follow us? We got to pick one or the other. Yeah. Alex, thanks for joining us today, man. How you doing?
I think I will start another heel movement as I'm closing in on 1,000 followers. I will actually pay you $2 to unfollow me on Twitter. I will Venmo you $2 if you just unfollow me. So you know what? Maybe we'll do that. But other than that, I'm doing well. I'm not paying you $2. No, definitely not you. But yeah, no. If you follow me on Twitter, I will follow you back if I think you're interesting, just because I am socially inept. But I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, Alex had a fun night. Looks like as well.
Don't want to talk about it. Thank you.
Not in the Caribbean. had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a fun one. We'll get to some of these questions as always. We have a couple Patreon questions first. That's not a Ben Simmons jersey, right? That's an Embiid jersey, right?
Yeah, it's an Embiid jersey. I don't think I'll be wearing a Ben Simmons jersey on this show.
Or ever again. Probably getting traded soon.
Actually, I wore one last week when I was with Arjun on the pod because it's a comfy shirt. So you know what? I take that back.
There you go. All right. So as always, we have a couple Patreon questions, and then we will. Mike Dub is out tomorrow with a bone bruise.
Has that been announced?
That hasn't, as far as I know, that hasn't been announced.
I do not have any news there.
No, that has not been announced anywhere.
Thanks for wasting my time, Aiden.
Love you,
Aiden's the name of the first guy I got in a fight with. So thanks a lot, Aiden.
As far as we know, Mike Williams they're still hopeful that he is going to play. Brandon Staley said that they'll wait and make that decision until tomorrow once they get onto the field. So he's going to go through all the warmups and stuff like that. Same with Nasir Adderley, who's dealing with a hip pointer. So we'll see. It definitely seems like Staley was a little bit more optimistic that Mike Williams would play. Pro Football Doc said that. Yeah, not too keen on trusting that man. But I'd rather trust Brandon Staley. That's just me. But yeah. So it seemed like Nasir Adderley had less of a chance of playing, according to Brandon Staley. But we'll see. Okay, as always, we will get to some Patreon questions first. Hello, Arjun. Good morning. Shout out to you. And then we'll open it up to the YouTube chat. As always, the super chat feature is enabled. So I don't know if Tyler is going to hop in here in a second and give us a super sticker. So all of the rest of you, feel free to use that. All right, first question on Patreon comes from our guy Philip Jacob. He says, everyone says Brandon Staley was a very aggressive on fourth downs. During each fourth down of the fourth quarter at the game, I thought to myself that if we don't go for it here, we are toast. Punting was too risky given our porous run defense. Thoughts? Or is it a given that Staley is going to do the same thing at the Ravens? So, Alex, we'll start with you on this one. What do you think about Brandon Staley's fourth downs?
I think that it's aggressive. I mean, I think every call he made on fourth down made sense in that Browns game. However, most coaches would have said, hey, 4th and 8, I'm on the 25-yard line or whatever. I'm going to kick a field goal. That probably would have been the attitude for most. So I would say in that way, Brandon Staley is more aggressive. Something that does factor into fourth downs is, the kicking situation, unfortunately. And we saw this with Anthony Lynn. He did not decide to go for it on fourth down frequently, but when he was in, the opponent's territory, he might have even punted if he was on the 40 or 35-yard line, just because he couldn't trust Badgley back when he was the kicker. So I think that plays into it. But no, I mean, every decision he made on fourth down made sense to me against the Browns. just because of when it was in the game. I do think he's more aggressive than what the average NFL coach is, but I think that's a good thing. Now, the reality is that in terms of regression, like the Chargers probably aren't going to keep up converting 87.5% of their, fourth down conversions. I don't think that'll hold, but it's more about the philosophy behind it. Even if that does regress a little bit, you're still going in on fourth down and you're either going to win or lose the game based off of that. And I think it's the way to put the game in your hands the most.
I think when it comes right down to it, it's almost like doing the right thing, where doing the right thing is not always the easy thing. And even though, yes, like we're all sitting on our couches going, go for it. We probably should go for it. Maybe not at the 20, but for the most part, we're all thinking, okay, you should go for it. You still have to go for it and have that call dialed up and communicate and figure it out. We all sat there in week 2 against Kansas City. Hey, Lynn, maybe you should go for it on this fourth down. And they didn't. So even though it seems obvious, but you still have to make the decision and have the balls to do it. I also like that maybe it's sort of a hidden thing. And I don't know if Arjun can speak to this, but it seems like going for it, and I guess this makes sense, it limits the time of possession that the opposing offense has at the end. It always seems like the Browns or the Chiefs, they're relying on that desperation Hail Mary towards the end, or even against the Raiders. I think they had 6 minutes left to score 2 touchdowns. And you feel so good about that because with the defense that supposedly is not going to let, the roof blow up, it's very hard to score quickly. So it's like, in a way, it helps them win later in the games because you're seeing teams have to make those Hail Marys. Like the Chiefs had to do it. The Browns had to do it. They have to make that push, but they just don't have enough time. So them going for it on fourth down also just gives them, or I guess takes away a minute and a half that the opposing offense will have later on. So I like it overall. But I feel like the Chiefs game, it was intentional because that's the plan they had, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to go for on fourth down. They had to get the points because that was like their game plan. Whereas to me, the Browns, I'm sure they thought about it and they discussed it and they had great plays drawn up, obviously, but it felt like the first time it was a necessity, like you had to do it. Like there was no choice. You had to go for it because they were getting killed on defense. Oh, thank you, Dad, for beating Mom this time. The super sticker. I appreciate it.
There we go. Shout out to the Shun family as always.
Very generous, even in the wake of some Raiders news.
Yes, absolutely. I think it could be a time of possession thing, like you said. I think, against the Chiefs, that was the plan. And against the Browns, like you had no choice. Like a lot of people on, sports talk shows the next day after the Browns game were like, oh, like this is an incredible call. Like he probably should have punted, but they made it. And it's like, well, if they punt the ball in that situation, Browns go down and score, you're probably too far behind at that point. You'd be down 3 touchdowns. And that's really no difference if you are giving them a short field and they go down and score anyway. So I feel like both of those games were kind of a necessity to go for it on fourth downs the way that they were. And like Alex is saying, I don't think that this is going to be a 100% conversion rate because really the only miss that they have is the fake punt that Ty Long threw. Other than that, it's Herbert 7 for 7. So it will come down for sure. And I'm curious to see, in kind of a neutral setting, like if they're playing the Vikings or the Giants and they have a 4th down and 3, are they going to continue to be that same aggressive team? So I think that's trending towards yes. I think that's trending towards Brandon Staley. Just this is how he's going to manage the game. He's going to give Justin Herbert his chances, and 4th down is kind of that point. So it's a weird balance, right? Like Dan Orlovsky was talking about it. Benjamin Solak was talking about it, where they clearly trust that Herbert's going to make these plays on 4th down. So they're not being as aggressive on 1st and 2nd down. But it would be nice if we were a little bit more aggressive on 1st and 2nd down and stopped having to rely on these 4th downs because it's super fun to watch. It's also very stressful to watch. And like Alex said, I don't know how sustainable it is.
Right. And I think just it's more the thought process, right? If the Chargers were 3 for 8 on 4th down and they had lost,
there we go.
There's the other one. If the Chargers were 3 for 8 on 4th down and they had lost one more game to this point than maybe 4-1, then I still think that the results would dictate, or the thought process would dictate at least, that you still go for it on 4th down. So like to me, even if it does come down, that's not a problem.
Wow. All right.
Thank you very much, Mom. Christmas is very early this year. I appreciate it. Wow. Thank you, Mom and Dad, of course.
Super awesome. Love the family support. Any other thoughts on the 4th downs, you guys?
I had a thought, then $100 just flashed onto my screen and I forgot what it was. um, crap.
Yeah, Senor says if we are going for a 4th and 3 against the Giants, must mean we are in a shootout against the Giants.
Or it means
Yeah.
you don't trust your kicker.
That too. So it's a delicate balance, right? Like I think Brandon Staley is going to be aggressive. He's going to trust Justin Herbert when he gets to those situations. But at the same time, like you have to know that this coach who is very into analytics is kind of kicking himself at the lack of first down and second down success, because that's just going to make their life easier. So I feel like eventually it pans out. I feel like this has just kind of been, you know, the plan against the Chiefs, and then they got into a shootout and were trailing against the Browns. So curious to see how much this changes going forward.
Quick thought. I forget who it was. Steven, do you remember who said that the Chargers kind of go for more like that gimmicky or interesting, different kind of play on first down? Who is it that said that?
That was
it Solak?
Orlovsky. That was Orlovsky.
Orlovsky. Okay, yeah. I'll be checking on that this week.
The two flea flickers that they ran were on first down. I know that there's been a couple end arounds to Jalen Guyton that haven't worked on first down. I don't really call that, you know, gimmicky, but
yeah.
I it's like I said, it's a really interesting dynamic where they're almost just like banking on going for it on fourth down. So they're like taking these weird chances. But then again, like a lot of the first down and second down inefficiency is like, you know, Jared Cook drops a pass here, Jalen Guyton drops a pass there, Justin Herbert misses there. Like it's just a little bit of cleaning up, and I feel like it would go in the more positive direction on early downs, but they're definitely taking some weird chances. Like they've done some of the deep throwback passes are on first down too. So I'm pretty sure it will balance out eventually. But like Arjun points out, I think this is in terms of going for it on fourth down, like Brandon Staley is going to be consistent in going there. Apparently your parents are having a competition about the super chat stickers. I love it.
Yeah, I like how Tyler's parents are just like donating like $150. Like, here, son, we're battling over your love. And my mom's like, how do I watch one of your videos? Or do I really want to?
The winner still goes to the Asian guy in Hong Kong who gave us like $200 in one sitting.
I miss him.
Me too.
All right, let's move on to the next super chat or Patreon question. Excuse me. This one comes from Abraham, who is a new patron of ours. So shout out to Abraham. Thank you for signing up. He asked, I rewatched the Browns game and saw Joey Bosa have a hard time getting off blocks in the run game. He did make a few plays, and of course the Browns O-line is strong, but do you think it would be worth a try to take him out on run plays in favor of a bigger body? Also, did you see the move Herbert put on JOK to end that crucial drive with a fourth downs in the third quarter? Thanks. So Joey Bosa did talk about this as well. I think this is a fair assessment of him that he did, kind of struggle to make plays in the run game. I think we are seeing a little bit, him kind of struggling to make those plays that we're accustomed to in the run game. I'm not like overly concerned about it. I think, he recognizes that he has to be better, and I think he will be. But the run game is a problem across the board in terms of the front seven. So it's great that Joey thinks he needs to be better, but everybody else also needs to be better, because the other teams are running away from Joey Bosa right now. They're not running at him. So I'd be a little bit more concerned if he just was really struggling to set the edge. But he's a lot of, backside plays right now. And so I'm definitely more concerned about the other four defensive linemen than I am Joey Bosa in the run game.
Yeah, Joey Bosa, you are a king and you've done nothing wrong. Everyone else on the defensive line, step it up. Because, that 52-yard run that Nick Chubb has, Joey Bosa was on the other side, and they ran directly at Uchenna and Nwosu and Jerry Tillery. And that was the key for a lot of the first half and a lot of those runs in the Browns game. So, to me, you can kind of nitpick. I actually just looked at PFF this morning because I was curious about Joey Bosa's run grades, and I think his lowest was against Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City. But other than that, he's been pretty averagely graded throughout the season. And like we said, offenses are choosing to run to the other side. So there's not a whole lot Joey Bosa can do there. And I don't know if there's really a coaching adjustment to be made. I think it's all personnel based right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who you could take and put on the field instead of Joey Bosa. Like I mean, listen, we like Fajoko to try to get onto the field, but I'm not putting him down and somehow doing something instead of Bosa. Rumpf isn't a better run defender, and Fackrell, like he needs to be better. Like he says, he needs to be better. We think he needs to be better. Of course, we'd like him to be better. But plays are going away from him. They're running screens. They're running away from him. Sure, he needs to be better, but like I'm not taking him off the field in favor of a bigger body. Like Merrill isn't going to play over there, and Gaziano, no. Like bigger body doesn't mean better. Like Bosa's your better guy. I don't know why you would take him off the field unless he's hurt.
Yeah, he is the best run defender up front besides Linval Joseph, I think, at this point. I still watch the dude with glasses laughing at the Gruden retirement movement over and over again. that was a great moment in podcast history.
That was pretty chaotic. I'm happy that I could help people laugh.
But I think it's like you want to make sure that Joey Bosa is fresh, and Thomas points out they were very worn down in that game, but Jay Bird, Justin Jones will be back after the bye week potentially. Like that could be a possible situation where maybe you can kind of kick out Justin Jones on the edge and give Bosa some rest there. But I think this team just needs the other guys have to be better. Like that's the bottom line. And like we're seeing opposing teams really go out of their way to run away from Joey Bosa because they know that the other guys are liabilities. So, they have to be better. And Justin Jones being back will help. But right now, they're the 32nd run defense in the league. Like, Justin Jones is good, but he's not that good. Like, he's not going to make this magically be an above-average run defense. Like, this is about everybody else. And now in this game, you have no Drew Tranquill. You have no Kenneth Murray, who even was not playing well. Like, you're having injuries now to a unit that has been underperforming. So other people have to step up. Linval Joseph can only do so much at the point of attack. Like he is playing well, in my opinion, but they need other people to play well. And Forrest Merrill, has been kind of the darling of Twitter, but he's an undrafted free agent. Like he should not be expected to be the savior of this run defense. Like they need to do other things, trade for somebody or whatever. But this current group is going to struggle all year long, even when Justin Jones comes back healthy.
I don't think this is like a really big brain take, but I think the Chinese general Sun Tzu once said that you don't get better by taking your best defensive player off the field. So, I don't think that's really an option for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll fact check that.
You can fact check it. I'm pretty sure he watched a lot of Chargers games.
There we go. As for the second part of this question, the move that Herbert JOK, I assume that's on the touchdown run. I'll take the word for it. I haven't had time to watch the film this week, so we'll see if that happens after this. But been a crazy week at work for me. So Herbert played really well last week, and seeing him get involved more as a runner was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Pretty sure that wasn't in the Art of War.
No, it was. You can double check it. I'm pretty sure it was.
All right.
Epilogue.
It was in the
epilogue. So that was the end of our Patreon questions. So as always, we will scroll through the chat and shout some things out that we see. If you want to use a super chat question to make sure that we answer your question, please feel free to do so. Who will be the backup green dot now that Tranquill is out? So obviously Derwin will call plays. Kaiser White called plays when in Kansas City when Derwin went out. So I think it would be Kaiser. Tranquill was not in the game at that point. He was more in the second half. So it went from Derwin to Kaiser, but maybe Nasir Adderley could call plays. Yeah. Again, that depends if he's playing. But I think it would be Kaiser at this point. I don't think they would trust Neiman or Amen with that. So pretty sure Kaiser.
Yeah, I think it would. If it would go to Kaiser, and then if something happens to Kaiser, it would probably be Nas if he played, just because he had some experience doing that in training camp in the preseason.
Sure.
How do you guys think that the snaps will be divided between Nick Neiman and Amen? That's from Thomas. I think this is an interesting question because we've seen previously that Brandon Staley and his staff have essentially preferred to do, two guys get the majority of the snaps. And he said yesterday that Neiman and Amon would both be playing a lot. So, Tyler, what do you think here? How do you think snaps will be divided between these two?
It's weird because so Neiman by far I think had 2.5 or 3 times the amount of special team snap as Amon Ogbongbemiga, but Ogbongbemiga has had the 1 snap on defense and Neiman has had 0. It's very hard to tell what they plan to do. When Murray went down in the scrimmage, it was Ogbongbemiga before Neiman, and we thought, okay, well, he's like the LB3 or LB4, excuse me. But then in the preseason, you can't help but say that Neiman really should be the LB4. So I don't know how they're going to shake it up because it looks like when the situation calls for it, they want to go with Ogbongbemiga, but Neiman, I think, is your better player. And at the end of the day, when you have 2 rookies and all things are equal in terms of playing time, really go with the athletic traits. And so I would hope it's like 75% Neiman, particularly because he can chase, he can blitz, he can cover better than Ogbongbemiga, who will be a good player, but he strikes me more as that first down, second down against the run kind of guy, pull him off on third down. So I'll say 75% Neiman for now, but we'll see if that even works out like that because there's no way they just keep one linebacker on the field most of the time with Kaiser. They're going to have to put Neiman on the field at some point. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they also could just decide to run a lot of dime packages where linebackers aren't quite as necessary as in other packages. So that's an option. I think it would definitely be Neiman over Amon Ogbongbemiga, just because, I mean, like Tyler said, he's more of that Drew Tranquil prototype than I think Amon is. And the challenge with putting Amon on the field is that the Ravens are running, I think, higher and higher instances of play action. So they might think it's a run play on first down, and then it turns into something else, whether that's instead of a straight handoff to a running back, it's a Lamar option or a Lamar pass. So, to me, there's a lot of different things that they could do there that wouldn't really be standard. So, I agree with 75-25 Neiman to Amen. I hate that we're saying that 6 weeks into the season and Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquil are both hurt, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the Chargers could definitely do a little bit more dime packages, but also Nasir Adderley is possibly not playing. So that, creates another wrinkle because if you're doing more dime packages, that means, it could be Tavon Campbell, but that could also mean more Mark Webb as the third safety, fourth safety. So it's a delicate situation, right? Because you're essentially playing 4 rookies with Alohi Gilman back there as well. So, this is a tough matchup to have these injuries. I think at this point, you play Neiman as much as he can handle because, like Tyler said, he is the better athlete. And I think in this game in particular, you need more of the athleticism. You need more of the, quick read and react, like Alex is saying with the play action. And, the Ravens are throwing the ball a ton. So I trust Neiman more in this game. I think, Amon Ogbongbemiga can definitely have a role, make a couple splash plays potentially. But to me, I'm hoping for a majority of Nick Neiman too, and maybe play some more dime package this week. So it's an interesting one. Couple people asking about trade deadline moves in this one for this season for the Chargers. There's been a lot of chatter about Hakeem Hicks, particularly from Jeremy Fowler. I've been very much on board with that trade and potentially Alex's guy Fletcher Cox too. As far as the trades being realistic, like I know everybody has kind of pointed out like, oh, Tom Telesco doesn't do that. The Chargers don't do that. I think that kind of depends where the Chargers are at. Like if they win this week and they're 5-1 and they have essentially a 2-game lead on everybody in the AFC except for the Buffalo Bills, and this turns into a race for the 1 seed. Like I think that does change Tom Telesco's outlook. Like I think he probably was heading into the season wanting to have a lot of this cap space roll over into next year. But if they feel like this is a win now season, then that probably changes expectations. And I don't see why not. Why not go get Akeem Hicks? Why not go get Fletcher Cox or somebody else? I think of the two, I would probably prefer Hicks because Hicks is a free agent after this season, so you're really only paying him for a rental season, and you can kind of figure it out later. Whereas Fletcher Cox has a hefty cap hit for next year. But at the end of the day, like if the Chargers are who we think they are in terms of being a contender, the biggest kink in that armor right now is the run defense. And as we get closer to December and January, that's going to be a problem. So I think a trade is semi-realistic for a defensive tackle at this point. And I am definitely on board with whoever they potentially go get because they need help up front in a bad way.
I just don't know. Would Telesco be the guy to say that he's basically at that point given up on both Jones and Tillery, or at least one of them? I don't know. Like Tillery, I thought he was honestly doing better than he was, but that chart that I think Seth Walder put out the other day was pretty
Yeah.
damning. Like he was in the bottom left corner of a graph where you don't want to be in the bottom left quadrant. It was really bad. So, I mean, I would appreciate all the help for sure, but I don't know if Telesco would give up on his guys that quick, which again is a fault, I think, but I don't know if he'd do it.
I don't know if I would necessarily say that'd be giving up on them because, I mean, Tillery's playing like 90% of the snaps right now. So he could still have a role, right? Like, I don't know if he would necessarily not be a starter anymore. But I mean, this to me is more about, maximizing the talent about Jerry Tillery, about Christian Covington, who just clearly are not like every down players. So I think you get somebody in there, get another body in the rotation. Unfortunately, that probably would mean that, Forrest Merrill gets cut. But I think, at this point, any upgrade that is on the table should be explored.
Yeah, I agree. I think Akeem Hicks is more realistic than Fletcher Cox because Akeem Hicks doesn't have any years left on his deal. So, I mean, you pretty much would free up his cap space next year, and then that allows you to build out the defensive line through the draft, or you have the choice to re-sign Akeem Hicks if you want. But yeah, I think as far as Telesco having pride, I don't know. I mean, I think that he's kind of let Staley run the roster a little bit. I mean, Joshua Kelly's been a healthy scratch every week, and that was not the intention when Telesco drafted him. And so you could say that about some of the other players that have gotten cut. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's an element of pride, but I don't think that it would really prevent them from trading for Akeem Hicks or somebody else. But yeah, no, I think that they'll make a move if they feel that it's right and if they feel like it can get them ahead. Tom Telesco doesn't seem to be like too keen on trading draft capital though, particularly midseason. So we'll see how that pans out.
Do you remember when oh gosh, please chat, you gotta help me out with this one. Who's the interior defensive lineman that they traded for back in like 13 or 14? I don't remember if that was mid-season or beginning of the season. Sean Lismore?
Don't remember.
Yeah, it's okay. I
remember Lismore being on the team. I don't know if it was a trade.
It was someone from the Cowboys. Was he from the Cowboys? Anyway, I'm just curious if it was mid-season or prior to the season, because that would sort of give a precedent for getting some help. But Sean Lismore versus Akeem Hicks.
I mean, and I also think that the possibility of like trading somebody away also shouldn't be overlooked because the Chargers were doing pretty good in whatever it was it 2017 or 2018 when they traded Dontrell Inman away for like a 7th round pick, just because he wasn't getting much playing time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Telesco did that, even if the Chargers are an all-in team this year.
Yeah. Other trades, though, I'm not super sure about. I saw somebody ask about trading for Odell. Like, the Browns have zero reason to do that. So I understand, like, a lot of people are frustrated about Odell's role in Cleveland, but I mean, he's their most dynamic player that's not named Nick Chubb. So I don't think that's a thing. And listen, like, as for receivers right now, like, any trade for a receiver that is expensive and is under contract for next year is going to take money away from keeping Mike Williams. And that is something that I am not interested in at all. And that includes potentially signing Devontae Adams. Like, they don't need Devontae Adams anymore. They have Mike Williams. Mike Williams is priority number one, in my opinion, next year.
I'm going to slowly agree with you. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. They should trade for Younghoe Koo.
Trade for Younghoe Koo? Yeah, I would. I would also trade for Cordero Patterson from them, but probably should have signed Cordero in the first place.
Yeah, kind of should have. Probably. That made a ton of sense. Knew your head coach from 2 separate colleges and the NFL. Didn't sign him 16 yards per return on the kickoff returns right now versus a Hall of Famer coming off a career year. Probably should have done that.
You guys don't like when Larry Roundtree starts the Chargers off at the 15-yard line? That's my favorite thing when I watch games.
No.
Oh, man.
That's another thing that is confusing to me, because Brandon Staley said yesterday, like, we haven't really decided who's running back 3 at this point. We haven't decided who's going to be active, but special teams is going to be a key thing there. And it's like, well, then it's Roundtree, because you're playing Roundtree's a core 4 special team player at this point, and he's returning kicks. So, Ed Miasis, Tyler was on the Cordell train first. I just happened to agree with that one, but it's been like Darius Swinton was asked about Larry Roundtree returning kicks, and he was like, well, he just needs to lean into his physicality. Well, that's a lot harder on kickoffs than it is as a running back. Like, I think you need speed back there, and I like Roundtree a lot as a running back, but I think that they need to make a move towards a faster kick returner. Whether that is Joshua Kelly, I don't know if that's even being explored, because he ran a 4.49 and Roundtree's a 4.7 guy. Whether that's Nasir Adderley, but Adderley's hurt this weekend, so I'm just confused at the decision-making processes when it comes to the return game.
And I don't understand.
I'm also confused.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely confused. I understand. I can get behind KJ Hill at punt returner, because he's not going to drop it. He's not going to cost you mid-game divisional round like the Patriots or whatever. He's going to catch it, and that's it. I don't understand how you can watch a returner on kickoff returns go to the 15 every time and feel good about that. And I'm sure every team's going to be kicking to the 1 now, the 1 or the 2, to make sure he returns it to the 17. It's a -8 yards every single time. It's so frustrating to watch. And I don't understand how a team can be so, driven with analytics and numbers and, I don't know, being smart and then make that work. Unless Swinton has more power in the decisions because he's a special teams guy, because it seems like everything kind of makes sense to me. And then there's special teams. Like, it's a whole different side of the field, it feels like. Even though they practiced it so much and Staley oversaw it, it just feels like the decisions and who Brandon Staley is, it just doesn't make sense when you're comparing the two.
Do you guys want to hear some stats from last week's Bears-Raiders game?
Okay.
Yes.
Khalil Herbert had 18 carries for 75 yards, and Jakeem Grant, who the Chargers should have traded for, had 3 returns for 69 yards, averaging 23 per return.
Nice. That's disheartening for sure.
Herbert had that many snaps last week?
Yeah, because Damian Williams. Yeah.
The Bears really went all in on running the football, so.
Wow.
Alex's guy.
Yeah.
I still think Roundtree can be an effective running back. I think the thing with Roundtree running the football is that those physical big backs, they need a lot of touches to get going. That's just how it is. And, he's not going to do that. And then also last week, it was here's Joshua Kelly. He's active. He gets the touches, not Roundtree. So just confused there. Anyways, let's move on to the super chat question from our guy, Zach Pearson. Will the world explore if the Chiefs lose again this weekend? So they're playing at the Washington football team, who have kind of, underwhelmed, specifically on defense. But Taylor Heineke has really kind of played well. Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Antonio Gibson, they have the weapons. And the Chiefs are not going to have Chris Jones, who is their only good defensive player right now. Charvarius Ward, one of their starting corners, is also going to be out. So this game is going to be very high scoring. We might see a repeat of the Browns and Chargers kind of game. 7 points, the Chiefs being favored by 7 points, to me feels like a lot, but I still think the Chiefs will win.
But I hope they lose.
Yeah,
yes, I hope they lose for sure.
I think the Chiefs will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Washington, because Washington's a good defensive team and Taylor Heinicke can play effectively, right? Like, and that's kind of all you need to beat the Chiefs. Like, I mean, at least in this stage with their defense right now. I don't know if that will hold throughout the rest of the season, but to me, that's just kind of where they are right now. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they got back to 5-4 after being 2-4, because that's the Chiefs and that's their offense at this point.
Well, they'd be 2-4 if they lose this one, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Just like after kind of a second half of the season push, like the Chiefs are still going to get in the playoffs. Like until they're not in the playoffs, I'm not counting Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid out.
Yeah, I feel the same way there. So they play the Washington football team tomorrow. Then they play the Titans on Monday Night Football. So they'll win that one, I think. Then they play the Giants on November 1st. They'll win that one. Then they play the Packers. That's probably a loss. Then they play the Raiders and the Cowboys. And then Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos to close the season. So, I mean, they've got a tough schedule in there. They've got to play the Packers and the Cowboys. They've got to play us again. But like Alex is saying, I think that they make the playoffs until I see otherwise.
Yeah.
But that defense is so bad. Like, we've been complaining about the run defense for the Chargers. At least we have a good pass defense. The Chiefs are awful at every aspect of defense.
Yeah, it was rough watching that Bills game last week. Just Dawson Knox wide open over Sorensen. I'm like, and then the lightning delay happens, and then you have to watch the Chiefs get drubbed for like another hour. Like, they're not what they were.
No, and it's Dan Sorensen has been a player that I have not been fond of for his career. I think he's Dirty Dan for a reason. But seeing him decline like this has been fun. But hey, just play Juan Thornhill and a couple of your problems go away. But thank you for not playing Juan Thornhill.
I like that he's so bad that at this point we have multiple screenshots in a game of people going like this to him. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's how bad it's getting.
I know. The thing with the Chiefs defense, like that we all knew, is like, as long as you had Chris Jones playing at a high level and Tyrann Mathieu playing at a high level, you could be okay. But Chris Jones is like a below average defensive end at this point, and Tyrann has kind of regressed. So, they've kind of lost their luster back there. Frank Clark is bad. They have not drafted anyone outside of L'Jarius Sneed who's been good on defense. So it's hard to really criticize the results of what the Chiefs are and have been. But that defense is awful, and it's their own fault. Like, they have neglected it for years.
Feels very, I mentioned this to you, feels very Rivers, Telesco, mid-Telesco era sort of thing, where it's like, Mahomes is a better quarterback than Rivers at that time period, but like Rivers is trying to do it by himself, but then he's just forcing turnovers because the defense stinks or the line stinks or there's injuries or something. It's very interesting. We'll see how they recover from this, because like it's going to take a long time for them to become a good, complete team again.
Yeah. And they devoted so many resources to fixing the offensive line this year. And then when they did have chances to devote resources to the defense, it was like, here's a slow linebacker that can't cover the pass. It's like you have edge rushers there. Like Boogie Basham was on the board right there for them. And they took a linebacker.
Yep.
So don't get it. Anyways. And they took a running back in the first round last year, as Senor points out. So L'Jarius Scandrick, shout out.
I'd like to point out another Khalil Herbert stat, if you will so indulge me. Khalil Herbert has 4 kickoff returns for 106 yards, and so he's averaging 26.5 yards per return.
There you go. That's an interesting one. Marlowe too smooth. What about trading for John Ross? He's not really being utilized on the Giants with the emergence of Kadarius Toney. Probably get him for a 6th, 7th round pick. I actually wouldn't hate that.
I'd probably
Why is he not
hate
being
that.
used?
Yeah, I guess that's.
I mean,
the
he's
question,
not a
too.
great player, right? Like he's essentially another Jalen Guyton, but
That's
if if Jalen Guyton is going to return punts and you're not getting anything out of KJ Hill, just give me some more speed. Like at least be
not gonna bring it.
serviceable
Not gonna
and-
say it. Not gonna say it.
Man, if only they had a guy that ran 4.3 that wasn't contributing on special teams. Man, I don't know.
Hey, but what we're saying now is we know Jalen Guyton can punt and return. Back then, we didn't know, and I don't think the Chargers knew or were comfortable with that situation.
Great.
It's great that they didn't know anything about special teams, and they still don't.
Hey, you make mistakes and you learn from it. Now we know that they need some more speed, and now they can go address that need.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Ebondo, but it's Khalil Herbert, like core 4 special teamer.
Where is this? Oh, it's cool. Nice.
That was funny.
Yes, Herbert's 3.9 yards per carry are amazing. It is better than Roundtree's, I'm pretty sure, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'd like to respond to this point that Tyron isn't being used in Jacksonville because people keep saying this to me. And have you guys seen the leadership that Jacksonville is under? Do you think that they're in the best position to utilize their players? So I'll just leave it there.
I said this on our other show. These poor people in London, man, like they have to go watch this shit show of a game tomorrow with the Jaguars and the Dolphins. I know Tua is back. Tua is officially back. So what an important game for Tua, weirdly, against the Jaguars. Like, you got to come in and show some stuff, man.
Urban's going to get that win, though. You know, like I said in my picks predictions.
Dude, I still can't believe you picked the city of Pittsburgh, Urban Meyer, and who was the other one?
Oh, I picked Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz
over the Texans.
Oh my gosh. Not the emojis. Justin Herbert's towels. Oh my gosh.
Steven's bad luck is picking the Seahawks to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then Wilson and then Carson go on IR, which we kind of knew about with Wilson, but it's like, good luck. I think DK's hurt too.
Yeah. He's banged up, but he'll play. But, you know, fantasy football right now is not a good spot for me either. I've got, some tough decisions. I'm starting Jerick McKinnon in our league, which friggin'
Oh
sucks.
my God.
I'm trying to go for a 2-game win streak this week, baby.
There we go. Their leadership sure is in the grinder. Well done, Thomas. Kevin Kernick, hey glasses guy, calm down. I personally heard Darius something yelling at the players in training camp. Okay.
Yeah, and what does that amounted to?
Yeah, lots of special teams hate today, but they deserve it.
Yep.
Shut me up tomorrow. And look, I've been hard on special teams. Tristan Vizcaino hit like 4 field goals, win the game. You know, KJ Hill, punt return touchdown. Larry Roundtree, average 15 to 19 yards per kick return. Like, just
give us 18.
just do anything. Like, shut me the fuck up. Like, that should be the Chargers special teams goal tomorrow. And I will happily praise them on the Sunday show if they simply show up to the football field.
I like how it was KJ Hill scored a touchdown, Vizcaino hit 4 field goals, and Larry Roundtree just be average. What the hell, man?
You know, the Khalil Herbert stuff got to me this morning, so.
It did. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, we'll take questions for a few more minutes. If you have any, please let us know. Otherwise, I guess we can head out early. So, if you have good questions, let us know.
Some questions.
Senor says, change your name to Glasses Guy, Alex.
Well, I have it on my name, but it doesn't show when we show the comments. So, but yeah, it's there. Yeah.
This is funny. Can Young Waku return kicks and punts as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he can. I would do it. Trade KJ Hill, Larry Roundtree, and a 3rd round pick for Young Waco. And I think that the Chargers would win that deal.
Oh my god. The Falcons are a weird team. That's for sure.
Real team. Yep.
Hey, but they finally started featuring Kyle Pitts yesterday or last week.
From Daniel Ortiz, am I the only one that feels like the Ravens offense is going to stall this game? So what do we think about the Ravens offense coming into this
game? The way that the offense stalls, in my opinion, is if the Chargers get out to a really early lead. Because I said on Thursday, I have confidence in the passing defense to kind of limit Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews. So if they do kind of follow the same script of if the game follows the same script as the Colts game and they do get out early, then I can definitely see the Chargers defense kind of having some success there. But if the Ravens are the team to score first, if the Ravens get out to an early lead like the Browns did, and I have a hard time believing that the Ravens offense will stall.
Yeah, I can't imagine they stall.
Yeah, I can't imagine they stall. I mean, it would be a different thing if you had Drew Tranquil and Kenneth Murray, but because they're shorthanded at linebacker, particularly going into this game, and Lamar's coming off of a game where he threw for 400 yards, like 300 of which came in like 15 minutes, the last 15 minutes of the game. I don't think they're going to slow down, especially because they're getting Rashad Bateman back. So, I mean, they're sort of only getting better. Their offensive line is, I think, their real weak spot. But like I said on Twitter this morning, the difference to me between playing the Ravens and the Browns is the difference between Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson. Like, both teams are hurt, but
say his nickname, you said though.
Oh, Kirk Cousins with progressive commercials. Yeah, that is what Baker Mayfield is. Yeah, but I just think that's the difference. Like, I think the Browns are overall a better team, but come playoff time in a single game sample size, I would much rather play Baker Mayfield than Lamar Jackson.
Tyler, thoughts?
Wait, I'm sorry. You'd rather play Baker Mayfield than Lamar Jackson?
No. I mean, play against. I would rather play. If I'm the Chargers, I would rather play against that one. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you there. But no, their offense isn't going to stall tomorrow. The only way they can stall is if the Chargers get some splash plays and they turn the ball over like they did against the Raiders. Otherwise, I don't think they're going to stall.
No, they'll move the ball, right? Lamar Jackson is too good of a player at this point to like completely stall. But I think we do see the Chargers get a couple of turnovers. I think we see the pass defense play fine. And, we've seen Brandon Staley and Joe Lombardi really design great first drives, and they need to do that tomorrow and get out to an early lead. Bunch of questions about the kickers. I understand the frustrations. Like, we're all frustrated too. But Brandon Staley is going to stick with Skyno, and we just have to kind of accept the growing pains at this point, unfortunately.
I think there's a limit on that. I mean, if Vizcaino costs them the game this week and they're heading into the bye, then I could very well see Brandon Staley trying something else, or at least the Chargers having kicking tryouts during the bye. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, no, I think for now they're going to keep Vizcaino until, and this is sort of the problem with special teams in general right now, is like we talked about, well, KJ Hill's returning the ball because they don't want anything bad to happen, right? They just want to field, right? Vizcaino is kicking the ball because they don't want anything bad to happen, right? Like, he's sort of the safe choice at the moment, but it's like, you gotta kind of take some risks on special teams. So that to me is like the problem right now with them sort of just being like stuck right now. But I don't think they'll replace him unless he has like a really bad game. Sort of did last week, but I think he'll get a mulligan on that one. And if you knock down field goals tomorrow, then everyone kind of forgets about it until you start missing them again. Like, that's just how being a kicker works.
Yeah. Speaking of kickers, apparently Michael Badgley is kicking for the Colts tomorrow.
Him and Wentz deserve each other.
But Michael Badgley and Isaac Rochelle are reunited.
And sort of Sam Tivy.
Yeah, they could do their podcast.
Well, I didn't the Colts cut Sam Tevi?
Oh, they just outright cut him?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he was injured, and then they cut him on the final roster cuts. Yeah.
Sam Tevi had a better pass blocking efficiency than Rashawn Slater through 5 games.
Technically not untrue.
So,
Justin Herbert's towel. If you're still in here, we do go live every Saturday for these Q&As. Yes, so spread the word.
Spread
them.
Forrest Lamp got injured. Yeah, Forrest Lamp is healthy though. I think he's ready to sign with a team if a team wants him.
What's Dan Feeney doing? I just realized that I have no idea how he's doing.
Didn't he also suffer season-ending injury or something?
Oh, did he? Yeah, he's played no snaps.
Well, he got cut.
I think he's just a backup. I think Feeney is just a backup there.
Hey, Steven, did you see the I forget who it was. There was an Elijah Vera Tucker breakdown versus Grady Jarrett, and he did a really good job.
Tucker. I wish I could say I was surprised. Like that guy got roasted after the first couple of weeks, but like he's a really good player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's coming on. So, I'm happy for him for sure. Good times when I thought that was going to be the pick. So,
oh yeah, Feeney just hasn't played, I guess, for the Jets to this point. But yeah.
So he is very good at football. Yes, he is.
So all 3 guys the Chargers let go, aside from Turner, have not played a snap.
Yeah,
because Lamp hasn't played. So. Feeney hasn't played. No. Tevi hurt himself. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And Cole Toner hasn't played either. So,
I thought he was a starter.
I think he's on the practice squad in Houston.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Wow.
So,
Daniel Ortiz says, do you guys feel like Josh Palmer has some sort of a breakout game Sunday with an injured Mike Williams? I guess that's also saying even if he plays versus, if he's out. But yeah.
I think we see Palmer play some more this week. Obviously, if Williams is fully healthy, then probably not. But, if Palmer plays more, we could see him get some catches. But I don't know if I would say full breakout, but I definitely expect him to play more this week than he has been.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have to play more out of necessity. So, I think just having him on the field more gets him more reps and stuff like that. The depth of the Ravens secondary, I think, is going to be tested just because I think they have a really solid starter in Marlon Humphrey, and then the rest of the guys on their secondary depth chart aren't great. Particularly, I mean, Carson Wentz was picking on that poor other corner last week, which was unfortunate to watch. But I think that Josh Palmer could have a little bit of a breakout game, but I do ultimately think Mike Williams will play. If it is a bone bruise injury, though, I guess that could be more complicated with kind of limiting snaps and stuff, and they might try to rest him before the break or, at least try to limit his snaps. But I think that they probably go in other directions than Josh Palmer, even if Mike Williams is out. But, I think he'll have his standard 2 to 4 catches, but they'll try to still get what happened?
Nasir Adderley has been downgraded to out.
Well, that's a problem.
We sort of expected it based on how that was trending, but
so they have also activated Fehoko and Cole Christiansen. So
that's tough.
Okay, so I like that there's no injury directly related to, or at least based on last week, related to Fehoko being activated, but it does help with their rotation and being more fresh. So I like that. He's going to be playing both nose tackle and defensive tackle. They've had to move around because of that Justin Jones injury, so we'll see how much he gets to play. But he had 1 snap versus the Raiders, so I assume they're expecting more from him this week because that would be kind of a waste of your second and final activation. Although at this point, so you activate him twice, then you have to either sign him or he goes to waivers or becomes a free agent or something.
Yes.
Is that
if you activate a practice squad player twice, you have to either sign them to the active roster or release them, and you risk them, signing with another team on waivers. If they
Right.
don't, they can come back.
But they can come back to the practice squad, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. This could be Fajoko's last game, or because I don't know how you would, unless they're anticipating somebody's out on IR, and they're anticipating having more space for someone like Fajoko. But
Well, I mean, the Justin Jones thing is still up in the air. Like, they put him on IR, and they probably expect him to come back, but they also expected him to come back week 2. So, like, I feel like that's sort of developing into a low-key Brian Balaga kind of situation where it's like, well, maybe he has a chance, but maybe he doesn't. So that could definitely be a spot for someone like Braden Fajoko. As far as Nas, yeah, no, that's a pretty huge loss, and that also directly contradicts what we said earlier when we talked about who would be the green dot, and we were like, maybe Nas could be it, and he's not going to be it. So now it's up to Derwin and up to Kaiser if something happens to Derwin. So, I think that it's going to be a problem to not have Adderley on the field. I know he struggled against the Browns when it came to tackling, but he had been playing so much better after that Washington game. So, having him out for this one, I think is lame. Also makes Alohi Gilman play a lot more. I don't know. It's just it's going to be tough to really. And this is, again, part of the reason I picked against them with all the injuries that they had. But, I mean, Nas is one of the most important players in the secondary with how he's been playing, particularly against the run. So I don't know. They're going to need other guys to step up.
Cox.
I'm wondering, is this the season? Wow, fun. Good spelling. So I'm wondering if this game we might see Chris Harris play a little bit more safety. Because to me, like, if in a vacuum, if I'm choosing between having Tavon Campbell on the field or Alohi Gilman on the field, I'm probably leaning towards Campbell. And if Chris Harris can play safety, the majority of the thing, then maybe Derwin James can be moved around a little bit more. So I'm wondering if we might see Chris Harris take, the majority of his snaps, at least at safety this week.
Yeah, I buy that. Get Tavon Campbell on the field, get Chris Harris Jr. at safety. I believe in Gilman in a sort of mini role, but not full-time just yet.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like we were talking about with Nick Neiman, needing more athletes, right? Like Tavon Campbell runs a 4.3. Like,
yep.
I want that speed on the field in this game against Lamar Jackson as much as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. And someone has to make up for Drew Tranquill not being able to blitz. Yeah, you can with Neiman, but Campbell also was brought on a blitz against the Raiders, and it was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Well, and also Drew brings up a good point, I think, in saying that Campbell should shadow Hollywood, and he might have to on some snaps because you're going to have Michael Davis and Derwin James probably on Mark Andrews at various points. So to me, having Campbell there is a huge kind of thing for them.
Yeah, and Campbell did that against Tyreek Hill and did a really good job. So
he's been great.
To me, like, I'm definitely, it's a small sample size for sure, but I think Campbell really has earned a bigger role in my opinion. And Alohi has played well for sure. I've been, pleasantly surprised by Alohi's development so far. But like, if I have to choose between the two, I'm probably choosing Campbell at this point.
Yes. Before we go to the super chat, I just want to say that Foster Sarrell season. Don't know when that'll ever happen, but that is a offensive lineman they signed who is, I believe, Korean. So
really,
awesome. Yes.
Did not know that.
I did not know that either until I saw his face and I went, yeah, it's an Asian dude.
I completely missed them signing this guy this week. I did not see it at all, and I just assumed Thomas was unfortunately misspelling Forrest Merrill.
Yeah, so Cole Christiansen gets activated. They signed that one linebacker to the practice squad and then released him when they signed Forrest Sarrell too, which I thought was rather interesting because they signed this guy, didn't even let him practice, and then they cut him.
God, if they sign this Sarrell guy to the roster, saying him and Merrill is going to be hell on the show.
Oh, yeah.
It is. But getting back to the run defense, I think with Fajoko being activated, I'm wondering if we might see that look that they did a couple times against the Raiders where they had the 4 defensive tackles out there, the 2 edge rushers, and then the 1 linebacker, which in this case would obviously be Kaiser White. I was thinking that maybe we would see that more against the Browns, and I think we only had once. But, at this point, like I said earlier, like if Fehoko is the better player than Tillery against the run, then Merrill against the run, like just play your better players. And if Merrill is going to make some plays, then or if Fehoko is going to make some plays, then put them out there. And if you have to rotate them more in to keep people fresh, then you got to do that. So I hope that Fehoko does actually play, because just because he's activated does not mean he's going to see the field. But I hope that Fehoko does play this week.
Jason Greer asks, what about for French after the bye in place of Larry Roundtree on kick returns?
For French. I mean, I'm about it. Like I said, like he can't possibly be worse than what we're getting.
I'm about trying different things. And I think the definition of insanity is trying the same things over and over again, which they've done for 6 weeks. That's 42 days total. So I'm for trying different things.
Yeah.
I wonder if Fehoko will take Gaziano's spot. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how that roster works out.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
Gaziano is on the roster, but do you mean if they cut Gaziano?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they could. Gaziano feels a little redundant once Justin Jones comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But we've also seen like they want to have the 3 players who play end and defensive tackle, and then 2 who play nose and defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, what do we think about Asante coming back this week? Last week he obviously got benched for like 3 drives. So what do we think if he has a bounce back game this week?
He certainly has the mentality to do it. And again, the plays that he was beat on, like they were almost positive. Like he was there so close. The reaction was really good. There were just some bigger guys where he went over the top rather than arm in front. I don't hate it all that much. I'm surprised they benched him. Like I don't know why they would have done that so quickly. But yeah, I think I'll have a bounce back week, sure.
Yeah, I expect Asante to bounce back. He's too talented. He's too smart. He's too gritty. And this week, like I think you don't have a choice. You have to start him. Like I know some people were like, well, what if they start Campbell? No, you have to start Asante Samuel Jr. this week. I think he'll be matched up quite a bit with Rashad Bateman, which will be a lot of fun. Seeing the 2 rookies go at it, which will be a lot of fun from their college days. And I do expect him to play well again. Like he's too good to have consecutive bad weeks. So, and like Tyler was saying, like he was inches away from having a really good week. Like he was really close to intercepting that one pass against Donovan Peoples-Jones. Coaching staff said that they were just trying to calm him down a little bit. But I expect him to bounce back. I expect him to keep playing. I think last week was just about, rookie and having a little bit of, some ups and downs. But I expect him to play well this week for sure.
I will say when I watched the game the first time, I really only noticed the Donovan Peoples-Jones thing, but then Arjun did point me back to when he had a miscommunication with Chris Harris that resulted in the wide open Rashard Higgins touchdown. Yeah. So I think that is pretty much what he got benched for, if anything. And then the coaching staff came after the game and was like, "Yo, no, it definitely wasn't a benching." And I was like, "It was a benching." But I don't think it's a bad spot to Benjamin because he comes back and learns next game. Like he's one of those guys that, like we said, wants to get better. So to me, I have no problem with it.
As long as he doesn't tweet about his lack of playing time.
Desmond King tweeted about his lack of playing time, and he's in Houston. Minimum deal.
Yeah. Tough break for Desmond King for sure.
Drew also pointed out that it's probably a good thing that Mike Williams probably will play since they did not rule him out or downgrade him this week. But I guess they'll see.
They didn't activate either. Yeah, they didn't activate anyone either.
Good point.
So
good point. Yeah.
If they knew that he wasn't going to play, they would have had to activate Jason Moore. Or someone else. But I assume it would have been Jason Moore.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to play unless they put him on the field and they really feel like he can't go. But I think in that case they would have activated someone.
Yeah, I expect him to play. I don't know if he'll do the usual workload in terms of snaps. We might see a little bit more Josh Palmer, but them not activating someone is a good thing. So I think Mike Williams is playing tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
Why not? The guy wants a contract, right?
And we've seen him play through worse. Like, remember last year we all were like, oh, he's got an AC joint sprain. Like, no way he's playing the first few weeks. And then boom, out there against the Bengals, and he had like 10 targets that week.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Any final thoughts before we head out today?
If Alex, okay, fine. I'm more nervous for this game than when we recorded initially and gave our predictions because now Adderley's out and Tranquil is out. One of the three, with also with Williams being out, is okay, but two of the three, particularly on defense, is very, very concerning. I'll still pick them to win, but it's gonna be close.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that they had Nas on the injury report and how that was trending also kind of contributed to my pick when I made it.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think the Chargers can still win this game despite all the circumstances in their faces. It's just that this is a really tough game because on the road, 1 p.m., everything that we've talked about with the differences in special teams between the teams and the fact that Lamar has proven himself to be like uncoverable at points. So to me, this just comes down to who's going to be better tomorrow, Lamar or Justin Herbert. And, along with all the other stuff that we've discussed. But yeah, I could definitely see it kind of taking the tone of the Browns game a little bit more, just because these teams probably will be going back and forth. I could also see it being relatively low scoring, but given the amount of bodies that are being missed on both defenses, I think that it's probably going to be, kind of a 24, 27, 21 Ravens win, like I said.
I was gonna say we're all thinking that there's gonna be a ton of points in this one, and watch it be like 16-13, and repeat of the Cowboys game. I'm not changing my pick. I said on Thursday when we recorded that if Mike Williams is playing, I would still stick with it. I just think that the Chargers have enough advantages on offense that the Chargers are going to be able to put up enough points to win. Drew points out Austin Eckler and the scrimmage yards. He's got a juicy matchup against the Ravens linebacker, specifically Patrick Queen. I think Keenan Allen will have a tough one with Marlon Humphrey, but otherwise I feel very confident in this Chargers offense. And I think that we see a bit of a bounce back from the defense. I'm not expecting, them to magically solve how to stop the run, but I think we see them get a couple turnovers, get a couple sacks, and I think they do just enough to limit the Ravens offense. So I'm not changing my pick. I think we still see Chargers 28, Ravens 23.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fair.
MVP train continues, man. Justin Herbert going to ball out. Can't wait to see it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this one. We always have fun when news breaks on this show. It's been a good one to talk about. And make sure to like this video, comment, talk with your friends about it. If you know any bandwagoners, please send them our way. We would be happy to welcome them with open arms with the show. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.